welcome back to Between Us Girlies. I'm Bailey.
I'm Casey.
I'm Bran.
I'm Lindsay.
Well, I was going to bring a prop for today's episode because I feel like we've been cussing a little too much. So I think,
like a swear jar?
I was going to bring a swear jar, but time got the best of me. So I think today's goal is to see how little we can swear.
Oh God, no
That's
promises.
not gonna happen for me. I remember.
At least the F-bombs. I just feel like my mother called me the other day and she was listening to the podcast in the background and I just heard my sailor mouth. And when my mother calls me and says, "Hey, little girl," I know it's not a good sign.
I need like a zap for every time I say like.
No, I need that too.
That's my problem.
Okay.
When I get passionate, I just say fuck. It's just like, I remember I was on a date in college. We were at Greg's in Manayunk, which if you know, it is a very small, tiny little diner. And the man I was on a date with texted me from across the table and said, "Please watch your mouth. There's a table of kids right next to us." I said, "You're right. I should shut the fuck up." See, there you go.
Jesus, Casey, we were off to a good start. All right, well, Casey's counter starts over again. So, with that being said, let's try to do this weekend recap without using some F-bombs. So what did everybody do?
What did we do? Did I do anything on Friday?
I didn't.
No. Friday I was in bed for 16 hours.
That's good.
No.
Oh, okay.
I had a severe headache. And I just couldn't handle it.
That's
And
so great.
then it ran into the depression part and I was just like, I'm just not getting out of bed.
Oh, okay.
It's a fun little cycle, but we picked it back up Saturday.
Period. Yeah, I didn't leave my house Friday either.
I also went to bed.
Okay, good.
Me and my boyfriend loved Trader so much that we started the UK version.
Oh, I heard it's
So
good.
it's
Oh.
really good. So we just binge watched that all Friday night. It was really nice.
What's that on?
Peacock.
Okay.
There's a UK version and Australian version. It took us like an episode or two to get into the UK version just because it's like no celebrities, just regular people. There's a lot of people. I don't know if it's like more than the US version or maybe I just knew more people in the US so it didn't feel like as many people to keep track of. But I didn't know anyone's name for the first like 6 episodes. And then I just finally started like learning and putting everyone together. But that is literally all we did Friday night. And then Saturday, I hosted a little pregame.
We left the house.
We did, and it was really fun. It was fun to have like a set pregame. I feel like sometimes when we pregame, it's like, oh, just come over like 30 minutes before we want to go out. And then we just like spend those 30 minutes yapping and catching up and we never drink and then we leave the house. I wanted a pregame where we like talked, drank specifically because I wanted to leave the house drunk and then go out. And I feel like that's exactly what we did.
Yeah, it was so fun. I was like, I haven't been to a liquor store in a while because I don't drink wine. Like I'm not a drinker like that, especially if I'm not going out. We haven't like had a proper pregame because I feel like we do like so many dinners to going out pipeline that when I walked to the liquor store, I like was like, oh my God, they're gonna card me because I look like such a like newbie. Like I was like, I don't even know what to drink anymore because I'm so used to like going to the bar and getting a mixed drink. I was like, what do the girls drink at pregames?
Yeah, that's so true. I haven't been to a liquor store in ages.
Yeah,
Maybe down the shore, but no, not the Philly one.
exactly. But no, it was fun.
Yeah.
It's funny because we were drinking. Like, that was good. And everyone was leaving to go to the bar. And I'm with Casey. And I'm like, okay, so you want to start cleaning up? Like, as a Capricorn I am. Because I was just like, I know she wanted to clean up. You're like, no, I want to take a shot. I was like, oh, my fault.
I like dreamt about cleaning up when I got home. Like I hate hosting something, and this isn't to you. In general, this happened to me when we hosted Friendsgiving last year. I hate when people offer to clean up. I'm like, I don't want you to touch anything. One, it's my house. I know how to clean it. Two, I enjoy this. It is therapeutic for me. So like I was so excited to get home from the bar and clean up all the drinks and wipe the counter. Like I think it's really nice when people offer. I do the same when I go somewhere, but I would prefer to clean it myself.
No, the worst cleanup, sorry, this is just a pushpin. I'm getting passionate. The worst cleanup of all time was when Brandon and I had hibachi on our roof. This
never
man
cleaned
made
it.
well, no, we didn't. Okay, it was on our roof, and we didn't clean it how we would clean like our living room. It was gross up there. I'm not gonna lie, but there was one particular guy there who just felt the need to touch everything. He threw out all the food. There was so much leftover hibachi. And he threw all of it out. He's like, do y'all want this? Like, yes, bro. Number one, we all paid for this. And number two, yes, it was delicious. If you had just kept your grubby, if you threw out your plate, you throw out your plate. You don't need to be cleaning up everybody else's. Sit down.
Yeah. Damn. No, I think about that often because I wish I had my food.
Yo,
From
do you
the
know what I
hibachi.
mean?
Yes. Yes.
He was tripping for that.
No.
Just throwing away people's food.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, that was bootleg.
Don't clean up our pre-games. We got it.
Period.
But after the pregame, where did we go, ladies?
Well, we had a pit stop at Elmira.
oh my
Yep.
God, you're right. Wow.
I was a little fuzzy, to be honest.
Best dirty
That
martinis
dirty
in the
martini
city.
was so good. It was my first dirty martini in months, and boy, did I enjoy it.
Yes.
And they
Everyone
gave me
needs-
4 olives. Oh, I was like, treated like gold.
These restaurants need to get with Elmira with their dirty martini recipe. I don't know if it's like their vermouth or like what it is about their concoction. It is a silky smooth, buttery.
To
if
me,
you
it
drink
just
dirty,
tastes
you
like
know
olive.
it.
No, it does.
Like,
It's
so
so
good.
good.
They
I literally
understand.
get it 'cause I'm hungry.
Yeah. They understand when you say it's dirty, it's filthy sewer water. Like they understand it. Like no questions asked. You don't have to send it back or ask for like extra
Yup.
olive juice on the side. They get it.
Yeah, I feel like Elmira's kind of with like the times because like they do stuff that's just like relevant. Like for birthdays, they bring out the sparklers, and I feel like they know how to make a good espresso martini and dirty martini, which is obviously trendy. Their bathroom, the lighting in there is so breathtaking. It makes me want to go there every night just to take an Instagram.
Yeah.
Like it's so nice in there. They clearly know people are going to take selfies. Like they definitely know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
But that was a perfect second pregame. So we can bop on over to Ladder 15, Philadelphia, PA.
I can't believe we did it.
I can.
I'm gonna be honest, you guys. Ladder 15, I was absolutely run it back to the last clip. Little Lindsay took what Casey said. It was the best thing we ever did. It was an immaculate time. I have not had that much fun out in a while. It was
DJ
great.
just
DJ
was
Quigs.
playing
What's his
bop
name?
after
DJ
bop.
Quigs.
Yep.
Nah, he could definitely party with us.
Because y'all know like music for us, like that's gonna be the one thing to get us out. But it's like he knew we were coming,
Yeah.
or it's like he knew the demographic because the demographic wasn't. When I was looking around, I'm like, okay, I feel like my age. Like I didn't
Yeah.
see too many. Like it was such a great crowd. But the way his music, it's like every like throwback, but the right transition. Like,
Yep.
he needs his flowers. Like I'm on my
Yep.
hands and knees.
Yeah.
Wait, hands and knees.
And you
Also,
could move in there. Like, it was nice.
Yeah.
The drinks were easy to get. Like it was obviously the more people that go, the more crowded it will be. But for right now, it's great.
It was a good switch up.
Yeah.
It was.
honestly, like sometimes when you go to those places, the drinks are like poisonous. I like enjoyed I got a gin and tonic and a lot of shots. Shout out Joe, but it was delicious.
It was.
Was it in what kind of glass was it in? I can't remember.
I don't
Because I remember for a while back in the day, Ladder used to do glasses.
I
like
think it
actual
was a glass.
Plastic cups, I thought.
Good.
I was drinking a state.
I mean, I know that's bad for the environment, but
I don't know if it was plastic. Whatever.
No, they were
I couldn't
plastic.
see.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I'm
bought
pretty
the
sure they were
soda.
plastic cups.
Yeah.
But I started to fear that my drinking was going too far. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get up out of here before I get any more drunk. So I left, like, not super early, but earlier than you guys. How much later did you guys stay out?
Well, Lindsay and I did a little pivot to insomnia cookies.
Oh my God, I forgot you
was
showed me your
talking about
phone.
it all night. The second we like walked into Ladder, I saw insomnia and I was just like, wow, I haven't had an insomnia cookie in like 8 years and I want one. And boy, oh boy, did we get one. They put a cookie on a plate with a heaping of ice cream on it. I was eating that at 2 a.m. It was delicious.
And the girls know little Lindsay used to work at Insomnia back in college. And when I tell you, I feel like you with McDonald's, Bailey, like the passion you feel behind a workplace. Insomnia cookies, like I don't know how the other cookie places do it, but it's good cookies. It's clean kitchens. It's good vibes. They're warm cookies. Like it is just, I love it there.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
How did everyone feel Sunday?
Bad.
Oh, not great. I had 3 plans on Sunday and I canceled 2 of them.
Did you go to brunch?
Nope, didn't go to brunch. And I was supposed to go to brunch and then go from brunch down to Delaware to watch the game with my parents and then back up to Jersey for a family thing.
Jesus.
And I canceled brunch and the football game. And I just laid on my couch. And then I went to Jersey at the end of the day. But I was like, I can't do all of this.
Yeah. Well, as you guys know, I'm a night owl. Actually, I don't really know. But as I somehow always happens, I had a post game after we went out and people just wouldn't leave. People just wouldn't leave. And I'm also like, I've seen so many TikToks of people being like, people getting up and like waiting, like how to like get people out of your home. I can't do that. As like as forward as I am, I just can't tell people to leave. And also like, I don't know how to say that politely. Like get the fuck out. Oh, there it is. I probably said I'm cussing. There's one. But so yeah, that happened. So I didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock. And I woke up at 11:30 on a Sunday, which felt great because I've been just waking up so freaking early lately. But yeah, I was a little disheveled. So I had to stress order McDonald's Sunday afternoon, if you will, because it was probably 1 o'clock by the time that happened. And then my lovely co-hosts over here were at El Camino.
Yep, that was good.
Yeah, and I was like, can you please just come over? Like, just please stop by. So then I made them watch the heart rate challenge of Love Island season 6.
Which was great.
Excellent.
Disgusting TV,
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's a good show to watch hungover. Just something like mindless like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should like make that a requirement. Like after we go out, I feel like we need to go to someone's house
Oh, yeah,
and
I'm
like
down.
watch reality TV because being alone is way too scary.
Yeah.
I even loved that when we woke up, we were all texting in the group chat. Like that's
Yeah.
the best feeling. Like if you wake up first, you text and people answer, or if you wake up late and you look at your phone and you have a bunch of texts to catch up on, like that's my favorite. Immediately texting up because nothing you type makes any sense. There's like 1,000 typos. It's all gibberish, but like you're like, oh wait, I get what she's saying.
As soon as I opened my eyes, I quite literally put the phone up to. I sent like 20 voice memos yesterday.
Yep.
Like you could hear the progression of how I started waking up in that. But I literally was typing something out, and I was like, I don't even know what this means because I think when I woke up, I was like, I'm still like, whew, like I thought shots were in my system. Like,
No, that's how I
you were
woke
like
up
coming
and
to
I
El
said-
Camino, and I was like, I don't think I could. Ooh.
I texted Brandon very early in the morning. I said, unfortunately, I am wasted. I am up. It is the morning and I haven't woken up like that in a while. Like usually you wake up like, oh, I'm scared. Like what happened last night? I was full blown like, woo, if I got behind the wheel, I would get pulled over. Like it wasn't safe for anybody. So I was in the comfort of my own home, but I went right back to bed. And then I said to Brandon, we need to get food. So we start walking to Bagels & Co. And then we walked past El Camino. And I said, wait a minute. You want to just pop in here quick? That's exactly what we
I had
did.
no idea they have breakfast like that.
Yeah.
And it was a huge meal. Like the way I had breakfast today because I had leftovers.
Period.
I was like, oh my God. It was delicious.
And it was really inexpensive. El Camino
Yeah.
breakfast is like $12 for a platter.
Oh
I
wow.
love El Camino so much.
No,
Talk
it's
about
so
it.
Like
delicious.
it is literally my favorite restaurant.
Bro, I've been saying this for years.
I will ride for El Camino until the wheels fall off. If you like to drink, if you like to eat, if you like to yap.
If you like ice water.
yup,
Yeah.
period.
The best
Straws,
water.
those bamboo straws.
Were there
I
a lot of
love it
people
there.
out? Because it was an
Yes.
Not at El Camino.
Oh, no.
I was
But
gonna
on the
say
streets.
I would have been scared to go outside hungover on a Sunday when the
Yeah.
Eagles are playing because I feel like it's just craziness out there and I can't see anybody when I'm that
Well,
hungover.
imagine my surprise when I wake up at 11:30 and I go on Instagram and I'm like, what? I'm like, what day is it? I was so confused. I'm like, tailgating. I'm like, the Eagles? I'm like, like I was like, how are people out? Like, I couldn't imagine like. That's why I couldn't come to El Camino because like I imagine like the bright lights. And you know when like everything feels wonky.
Yeah.
I feel like if I set one foot on the pavement, I would have killed over. Like it was just nasty. I'm never
Yep.
going out again.
I had to eat. It was like halfway through the Eagles game, and I was like, "Wow, I am not doing well." So I had to eat an edible, take an anxiety pill, and smoke a little all at the same time. And I literally just sat on the couch, and I was like, "In 20 minutes, I will feel so much better than I do right now." Passed out, took like a 5-hour nap, woke up, went and ate sushi. So the later half of my Sunday was better, but
You know what's crazy? This is just an intrusive thought. I've never seen you sleep. Even on like vacation, like I've never looked at you and been like, oh, Casey's resting.
I was
Never.
assed out on the couch. I was laying on Jake's lap. He was trying to get up and get food for like 30 minutes, and I was just like drooling on the side. Wait, speaking of that, this is TMI, but last week, I woke up in the morning. I had drooled so much in the middle of the night. I don't think I've drooled since I was 3 years old.
I drool all the
I woke up. It was disgusting, and I was like, oh, and for the first time, I was like embarrassed just for Jake to see. I was like, oh my God. I had to like use my sleeve to get it off the bed. I have never drooled like that. I was like, damn, I must have been in REM.
I was gonna say, drool, like that means you're having a good ass sleep though. Like I love when you're like mid sleep and like you can like catch it. You're like, oh damn, like I was knocked out. Oh, I love sleeping. I can't wait to go to sleep tonight.
No, I'm literally so excited for
I
bed.
know.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm crying.
What else is going on, y'all? Feel like we need to do a little. How is everyone?
Yeah, let's do a little
How's everyone doing?
checkup.
little mental health check.
Yeah.
Well, you just heard me say I had to take an anxiety pill, so I think that sets the scene for how I was doing Sunday.
Yeah.
But we have been wanting to make a mental health episode, an
Yeah.
anxiety episode, and I feel like we didn't, I don't know, want to put too much pressure on it. We kind of just wanted to make it like an open-ended conversation. We all struggle with anxiety differently. We've talked about it on the podcast here and there, but we kind of wanted to make an episode that was like a little bit more focused, I guess.
Yeah. I didn't ask me anything on the story, on our Instagram stories last week, and majority of them were asking about mental health questions. So I do feel like we can give some kind of explanation and some updates. So I'm not doing well. A few months ago, I went through just a few life transitions. I went through a breakup and a move that kind of just left me on my ass. And I haven't really found my way up since. I've been struggling like really bad with just like, honestly, like paralyzing anxiety, like just living in my head, like incessant rumination. So I've been struggling like a lot. And I just feel like the more and more I talk about it, I realize that a lot of people actually are struggling too. And I know like the worst thing about it is like feeling like you're alone and like no one else is like dealing with it. Cause like the world literally moves around you and you just like are like, oh my gosh, like how is everyone okay? Like it's in sometimes, but people aren't okay, you know? And I think a lot of times they're hiding or they're not sharing like those things because it's hard to be vulnerable about that stuff. But I think the more and more people talk about it, I think people would be more open to talking about it. So yeah, I feel like I probably had like high functioning anxiety like my entire life. I've always been type A, always been like need a plan, like to do stuff, always early to things, like very, very much so type A. And I just feel like shit just like eventually like your body just gives out. Like you get to a point where you reach like exhaustion, and like that was happening to me in like the form of panic attacks. It kind of all started in Aspen, and then June came around and I was having like panic attacks like once a week in like very random situations that don't normally provoke anxiety in me. So yeah, I've just been on a journey of, you know, obviously continuing therapy, but also I've been trying out medication. I don't think I found like the exact combination that is working for me yet, but I'm going to continue to do that. We're obviously not doctors, so don't take anything we say with, you know, obviously if you're going through something, talk to your doctor, talk to your psychiatrist. But yeah, that's kind of like me going, just trying to trudge through the waters here and there. But yeah, how's everyone else doing?
Yeah, I'm struggling a little bit too. I think for me, something I've learned recently too is anxiety can change so much. Like I've anxiety and depression run in my family. In second grade, I had to start going to a therapist because I couldn't sleep. I was afraid that my whole family was going to get murdered in the middle of the night. So I started seeing a child therapist in second grade. And she literally was just like, you're a worrier. Like she gave me this little gray fuzz ball and she was like, it's a worry wart. And I used to sleep with that every night. So I had anxiety growing up, but it was child anxiety. So it didn't look the same as it does now. And then when I got to college is when I first started having like anxiety about situations, like overthinking everything, getting really, really stressed about my biggest anxiety triggers, feeling overwhelmed when like things start to change and I don't have a second to like think about my answer. Like the smallest thing, like if I'm planning to order something at a restaurant and they're like, oh, we don't have that. Like if I'm already a little anxious and they're waiting for me to give my answer, to me, that's like full-blown panic attack. And to someone else, it's like, oh, just, you know, say you don't want to order that or whatever. That's just a small example. But so that was my anxiety for a long time, was anytime I got overwhelmed, anytime I was trying to plan something. And then the pandemic happened and then I got social anxiety, which I had never had before. And that has probably been the hardest to cope with because it affects like your ability to have like relationships. Like every conversation I have, every interaction I have with someone, I go home and I think about it for 30 minutes. And I think about, did I say something weird? Did I offend anyone? Did I overstep? Do they think I'm weird because I said it this way? I should have said it that way. And it started small and then it started to get really bad to the point where like I couldn't hang out with anyone because I was like, oh my God, everyone hates me. Everyone thinks I'm weird for this. And I didn't know that other people felt that way. And then I started talking about that type of anxiety because I was really embarrassed by it because I'd been like a quote unquote social person my whole life.
Yeah.
We were very social in college, especially me, Brandon, Billy. We went to college together. We were out every weekend. We had so many friends. It was very weird for me to now be like, oh, I can't just walk into a room and talk to people. That makes me really anxious. So that was really hard to start talking about. But now that I did, I feel like I'm in a better place with it. I saw a therapist for a little bit over the summer, and she was able to help me find like some tools for social anxiety, because I think it is different for everyone. But yeah, that was seeing how anxiety has changed throughout my life was just something I didn't know it could do. Like going from being a kid to college to now 28. Now it's like, I don't really ever stress about plans. Now I stress about people. So it's just like, I think the way your anxiety looks one day could be very different. I feel like that's sort of what you experienced too, Brandon. Like in one day, your whole anxiety switched. It can happen really fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about y'all?
I feel like I don't have like anxiety in that I've always had it. I feel like I have situational anxiety. So like growing up, there was nothing that really made me anxious. I was a really happy kid. I've never had like issues with friends, family. I'm very blessed to say that. But that stuff didn't start happening until I got grown. And Brandon always says, once your frontal lobe develops, you are screwed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I dated a guy who I've talked about before. He introduced anxiety to me, at least what I knew as panic anxiety. You know, you get anxious about little things, but this is something like this would keep me up at night. So I knew what that feeling felt like at that point. And then just kind of growing up has just been, I say growing up like I'm 50, but like growing up, navigating through your late 20s, like it's been a really difficult adjustment. And I think right now is probably the hardest time I've ever had, mixing like a breakup with a job loss, with moving away from something I've always had is like the comfort of my friends and family. Like I just said, I've never had issues. So Brandon and I always say like moving out was a horrible choice. It was a good thing because it's helping us grow from our codependency, which we still have.
Yep.
But just being able to go to my own space, like even that's been an adjustment for me. And as you get older, your family gets older, your siblings have problems, your parents have problems. So it's like, for me, I've always been kind of the piece of my family, which creates immense pressure. Like it puts it on my back. I have it with friends. I have it with family. And that's something that's been really difficult for me because right now, like I'm hurting, like I need help. And I've had to kind of, I'm a God girl. So I've taken a lot of time to like ask God for like peace and like praying. And then also just like remembering who I am as a person, like going back to look at the time when I wasn't anxious or scared or sad, like saying, what can I do in today's moment to remind yourself of who you are? Like just tapping back into your roots. And I think that reminding myself of those things and like being a faithful and hopeful person has helped me not like absolutely explode. But every day is a challenge. It's just kind of up to me to make sure that I'm pushing through the challenge. So
Beautiful.
It's hard, but it'll get better.
Yeah.
Full Miley
will.
Cyrus.
Things get better.
How about you, Bales? What's going on?
Oh, in this noggin, not so much anxiety. I think we're good on that front. Well, my anxiety, I feel like I always have this like I feel like I've said on this podcast before. My anxieties are like, it's not anxiety. It's like what I don't have control over because I'm very like I like to be in control of my life. So lately, I feel like everything I've been having control over, and I've also realized like things are always gonna work out. Like my grandma's always says, my mom's always says, like things always work out, and like they do. Like I'm always so amazed. I'm like, wow, like things really always do work out. Just have to just wait it out. Like nothing's gonna happen in a second. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. But I feel like my mental health, it has gotten better within the past few weeks. I feel like last month, I mean, you guys have heard it was really like, I was struggling a lot with my body. Like after the live show, like I was like in such a like downward spiral to the point where like it was bad. Like I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror when I was like about to take a shower. Like I was getting so disgusted. It wasn't even like, I mean, I have like body image issues. Like that was also something I'm never going to get out of this stage. I look at myself every day. I go to the gym every day, look at myself in the mirror. I take millions of pictures of myself on the phone. It's just like, I'm my own worst critic. Yeah. But I feel like I finally just like got it together. I feel like I was like, if you feel uncomfortable, like I felt so uncomfortable in my own body. Like it was just, I couldn't even like sit here on the podcast without like, it was just so bad. But I was like, if something's wrong, fix it. Like, what am I sitting here complaining to you guys about? Like, you guys can't You guys can't do anything for me about it. So I got back on my regimen. Like, I'm eating eggs again. Like, I feel like just doing things, like I'm getting my sleep again. I feel like that has helped me so much. It sounds so small, but like in the past few weeks, I'm like Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, my body's gonna have to readapt to things. I'm getting older. Like, my hips are gonna get bigger because I have to have kids soon, probably. Like, it just all like, that was just so bad for my mental health. But we're doing better. We're doing better.
You know, I don't want to say it's not just a small thing, you know, Bailey. Something I've always struggled with my body, and we've always related on that topic together. And something I've always said about that is like, and this is different, and I don't mean this in any kind of like negative way to what I'm about to say, but you know, people who struggle with alcoholism, like theoretically could just never drink again.
Right.
And people who struggle with drug addiction could theoretically just never take a drug again. Obviously, it's not that easy, but what I'm saying is for people who struggle with body dysmorphia and eating, you have to eat every single day.
Yeah.
It is not something that you can just disappear from. It is something you are faced with all the time, especially for me. My like body image issues come out a lot in public, like when you go out to eat with friends or if you're on vacation or you're, you know, eating is such a social thing and it happens every day, all the time. So I'm like proud of you for being able to get to a good place with it because it's not fucking easy.
Right.
Like struggling with your body, especially struggling with food, is so hard because it's just something you have to do 3 times a day, every day.
Yeah. And it's also just like, it is your, like I was eating healthy food, but like not seeing a result. Like I can't expect to see results off of eating something healthy for one day. My body has not even digested it yet. And it's just like, that's where it comes like so tricky. It's like, you have to do everything the healthy way. Like you have to work out and like you have to eat right. But I think it's like when you don't see those results in someone who like does this so much, it's not even like comparing myself to other people. It's comparing myself to myself.
Yeah.
And it's not even looking at old pictures either. Because it's like, I know what I'm doing throughout like the year and like my progress and everything. But it's like, damn, like just hang the phone up.
Sometimes we do compare ourselves to ourselves. Like, I have been going through the craziest thing right now, which is something I've never dealt with before. And it's literally, again, I can't control it. I cry to Brandon about it every single day. So I have a birthmark on my face for the viewers. Like it's on my face. It makes my eyebrows like wonky. Like it's very like, it's always been kind of covered because I've always had a ton of hair. But recently, like I guess as you age, so I went to a dermatologist when I was in middle school. And they were like, you need to fix that or you're going to get skin cancer by the time you're 30. And I was like, that is so cynical. That is so pessimistic. Like, I'm not going to manifest skin cancer. And it's a big birthmark. Like, you can see it on my face, but it actually covers the entire left side of my head. So, and there's a bunch of complications with it. So, as a kid, I was very, like, adamant about putting on sunblock, making sure I'm always in a hat, like, covering my birthmark, blah, blah, blah. As I'm getting older, that hair, I don't know if it's because I'm stressed or if it's just because like I'm getting older or maybe my dermatologist in middle school was right. But that hair is just falling out in clumps. And I am so like insecure and self-conscious about it. And it sucks when you like see things, for example, like on our TikTok, I took a TikTok down because there was a gang of people in it like talking about my eyebrows to the point where the search was like Lindsay Anderson eyebrows. And I was like, I feel like I'm in elementary school, like getting bullied about this again. And it's something that's just been like sending my anxiety. And just how Bailey said, like Rome isn't built in a day. It's like, yes, I can take steps to like help myself. So it's like, if I need to put my extensions in on that side to make myself feel good, that's okay. I can schedule a dermatologist appointment. I can go, I can figure this out. And there's so many options. And it's like, I will work through that. But it's like, there is nothing worse than looking at yourself and being like, damn, like I wish I had the hair that I had a month ago. You know what I mean? So it's like your insecurities are like the worst when you're comparing yourself to yourself. And we all do it. And as you get older, like this age is just like it's a reflection age. Like you're literally looking around and you're saying like, what is she doing? What is he doing? What were my parents doing at this time? It's like, it's a brain like tornado.
Yeah. And it is really, this age is so bizarre. It's like a second puberty in some ways. Like it just feels like everyone is at such a different place. Like, you know, some people are getting married, some people are buying houses, you know, some people are like leveling up in their careers, and that's amazing. But like a lot of times, like there's so much to compare yourself to. Like I felt like in high school when you're like, oh my God, this person's going to school there, this person's doing that. Like I didn't think that feeling would ever come back. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is what I feel like again. Like, and comparing yourself to like yourself as well. Like I think back to like, I was 23 years old and I studied abroad in Italy, lived in my own apartment, traveled to 10 countries. Damn. Like I didn't have any fear. I didn't have any, like, I was just living my best life. I am scared to get on a plane right now, like genuinely scared to get on a plane. Like, and you just don't predict that for yourself. Like, I always thought like, oh, you get older, you get more confident and you find yourself. And I think that does happen. But like right now I'm like at like the lowest point in my confidence where I'm like, I don't even like know what I want to fucking do anymore. Like it's like very weird.
Yeah, I think like you said at this age, because like we are approaching 30, like we're turning 29 in January, which is nuts. But I'm also thinking about the future a lot. Like,
Yeah.
And it's like you said, like someone to like our parents. I mean, I think about my mom, like, wow, like our parents are like in such a like, they're not figured it out, like, because it's also their first time living life like we are. But it's like, I want to get to the point one day where I'm like in my 50s. But I think like just thinking like, how am I taking care of my body now? Like, what am I doing for like, my mental health now? It's like my kids, like how do I motivate my kids? It's such a like, like it's a second puberty. Like,
I literally cried at dinner last night. So I went to family dinner last night and I started crying because my younger brother, who's 23, he was talking about how he wants to like start a business and blah, blah, blah. And I literally just burst into tears at the table. And everyone's looking at me like, why is this idiot crying? And I was like, follow your dreams. Like, it is so important to just like, if you feel passionately about something, get out there and do it, because when you get to my age and you look around, it is comparison city, and it is a time where you look at how your parents were. I think that's what it is. Like, I might be a little plagued by my parents, because my parents bought a house when they were 28 in Upper Dublin, had my brother when they were 29. My mom was 29 and she was hot and they had money. And we were talking about this last night and my parents were saying how we have a big window in front of our house and it was $10,000 to replace their window to make it look pretty. And my mom was saying that was her like greatest, like she was so excited that she was able to afford that window. And I'm looking at them like, y'all bought a home and your big purchase was this $10,000 window. And I'm in crippling credit card debt. I'm suffering. I couldn't think of buying a house right now. And that was your big achievement.
Right.
Plus inflation right now.
Yeah.
I was like, girl, we are not the same.
Yeah.
And I think I have this unrealistic mindset. Like, I guess you could look at my grandparents too. Like, my grandma had a kid at 18. It's like, that's not normal anymore
It's just-
on like
Yeah,
that
it's
like
changing.
scale.
Such a
So
different
like
time.
things do change. Not that having a kid at 18 is not normal. You can have a kid whenever you want. I'm just saying like the stereotypical like path you're like supposed to be on. Ours is so bizarre right now, and I just have to go with it.
I think, well, they said like a few years ago, like our millennial age, like I think we all are so focused on like living life, like living our lives and like working, I guess. Well, like, working like on your own and all that, but not having a family right at 25.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you can do that, but I feel like a lot of people are like waiting to hold off on kids because like we want to enjoy life. Like, I guess.
And she did say that. She was like, I chose a window and you chose a vacation, or you chose a car and I chose a sofa. It's like, okay, but like I want to live. Like there's
so many factors that go into that. Like on my end of it, I know so many women who did make those decisions to like get a stable life at 25 and literally would be like, don't ever do that.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you go live your life. Make sure you make bad decisions because you learn from it. So it's like you see it from every end of the spectrum, and the world is just different. Like even before the pandemic, our age group was different. Throw in the pandemic 3 years later, the state of the politics in the world, the state of the economy, like everything is different. You don't even, it would be even more different than comparing apples and oranges. Like it's almost two completely different universes at this time. Social media didn't exist the way it did back then. Half of the careers people have now didn't exist back then. Like it's just impossible to live up to that standard. And I know what you mean. Like it's very common for people to be like, oh, my mom had it figured out, or even my older siblings had it figured out. But it's just so different. We're learning every day. And I feel like even the generations under us are learning from our mistakes and figuring it out.
Yeah.
To tie that, like literally everything you just said, and like kind of with FIP, and like we can recap the Menendez brothers. I feel like their case is kind of not blowing up, but it's like becoming more and more blowing
Resurfacing.
up. Yeah, resurfacing, because it all comes down to it is mental health. And in the 90s or late 80s, early 90s, when they were arrested and they did do all that stuff, but like at the end of the day, it was mental health, and that wasn't really talked about, especially with men and boys getting sexually assaulted. And now 2024, it's like, yes, we like people are seeing it. I wish people could see it back then too, but it's like mental health is big. Like these boys were going through a lot, and like no one was seeing it until now, really.
And I mean, it's getting worse with social media. I mean, we all now are getting more and more detached and more, invested in. You're now comparing yourself to thousands of people rather than 20 years ago when there wasn't social media, you compared yourself to 10, 15. Like it just opens up the range of being like, oh my gosh, like I should be doing this, I should be doing that, which like fucking sucks.
And it's also, which I've done this before too, I'm guilty of it, but it also, we're in an age where people sort of romanticize anxiety. Like, oh, I can't do that today, I'm anxious. And it's like, part of it is, yes, that's probably true, but the other part of it is anxiety, and being anxious has become such a throwaway word almost. It's just like, it's very easy to be like, oh, anxious girlies unite. And it's like I said, on one hand, it's great. I love that it's being talked about. But on the other hand, are we like overusing it and kind of making the word less important, I think. And at least for me, I definitely like compare myself. Sometimes I'll see people quote unquote romanticizing anxiety, like their morning routine with anxiety. And they do these things that either I, one, don't have time for in my morning, or two, don't have money for. Like I can't afford therapy super easily and all of these things. And mental health is different for everyone. Everyone could be all diagnosed with the same anxiety disorder, but we all experience it differently. But you're not getting on TikTok and not everybody's talking about every single symptom they have. So it's super easy even for me to just compare my anxieties to other people and be like, oh, well, she has anxiety and look at everything she's doing. And it's like, we could have totally different versions of anxiety. She could be struggling in one area that I'm excelling in. Like it's different for everyone.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, I think it's like, honestly, everyone, like I feel like illness is like glamorized. Like even the way people throw out OCD, it's like, no, like one thing I've learned is like, that's really like a serious thing that like takes hours out of your day. And like I myself like learned this, like the way I would always just throw around the word like depressed, I'd be like, oh, I'm super depressed today. It's like, now that I've actually like experienced like what real depression is, like when you truly like don't have an interest in doing things that like once used to make you so happy, that's a terrifying feeling. Like it goes beyond like way further than like sadness. And like I would always just say if I was sad, like, oh, I'm so depressed, and like whatever. But like now that I've like actually felt like, oh, whoa, like I used to love doing this and I feel no connection to it, like it is not a feeling like I would wish on anybody. But on a lighter note, there are ways to get through it. For me, my favorite way is literally this, talking about it and just having friends that like will understand you. So one thing, like I'll remember in July, I was dealing with honestly a little bit of like agoraphobia. I was really scared to leave the house, and I thought that I was going to have a panic attack every single time I left the house. And the first time I went out to dinner was with Bailey, and we went to Hikari. And I was really anxious. And I remember the first thing she said to me, she was like, if something happens, we'll just leave. And I was like, just knowing that like that was an option, I was always like, oh my God, I'm going to ruin someone's time. I'm a burden. I'm going to ruin like just knowing like, hey, it's not a big deal. Like I will gladly like change this plan. That was like made me significantly more comfortable. Like, so having a support system is something I'm so privileged and blessed. And I feel for anybody who's going through this, like I hope that you have friends around you that like will push you to be your best self, but also like not shame you if there's something that like you're nervous to tackle on your own.
I feel like, and if you don't have somebody, it can be kind of agonizing to feel like you're by yourself, or even if you feel like your friends don't get you, like that's something, again, we're really privileged, but there are some spaces where things only make sense to you. I think like, and it's really hard to do this when you're depressed or when you're anxious, but therapy is so cool. Like it's very important. It is a safe space where you can genuinely talk to somebody who doesn't know you. It's a judgment-free zone. You're able to recycle them. You're able to get a new one. There are resources that can help you get therapy for low to no cost. There are different programs and groups, and I can take this task on to look at them after the podcast and see if we can post them on our Instagram story of just resources and groups that can help people. Because again, when you're depressed and it's like you're searching for women's groups near me or free therapy, like it's exhausting. So if we can be a resource to our listeners, that's something that I feel strongly about. So I agree with that. It's good to have a friend.
If you find something that brings you joy, it's one little thing that's healthy, stick with it. Like I know when I was unemployed, I almost said unimpressed. when I was unemployed, dark time, obviously unemployed, this wasn't great. The one thing I did find joy in, so silly, but it's Emergency Intercom. It's a podcast. You guys know it, and you and Drew. But I found that in probably April of when I was unemployed, and that was the one thing that I was watching, and it would just take me out of my anxiety in my head, and watching them, and they're also like open about their mental health and anxiety. So it's just like, and finding a little community in that, and like just their followers, I feel like that just really did something for me, and like keeping with that and just like taking my mind off of it, of everything.
Yeah, something too that I think when it comes to support system, and obviously it's all about how you go about it, but I think don't be afraid to tell people how you need them to show up for you. Because my boyfriend, bless his heart, he is the biggest fixer. If I say that nail in the corner of the room is driving me crazy, my boyfriend's gonna go get a hammer from upstairs and figure out how to fix it. He will stop everything to fix something. And with mental health, it's not fixable immediately, and it's especially not fixable, it's not visible, so like it's not something he can just fix. So when I would start to open up to him, he was like giving me solutions and giving me this, and it took us a while to get to the point where I was like, listen, I love you and I need you to support me, but I do not want your help. I don't want you to tell me what you think I should do. I just want you to be a safe space. I just want to be able to tell you my thoughts. And he was like, I'm so glad you told me that. I didn't know how to help you. And now that I know, that's exactly what I'll do. And now our relationship is a lot better because of that, because I'm able to come to him with a super small problem that's, you know, going through my head. I get in these cycles, like what Brandon said, rumination. I'll think one thought and I think it 300 times a minute. And so I need to get it out and I need to just say it. And before I would be afraid, and now he knows he doesn't need to try to fix me. So I think don't be afraid to tell your friends, even if you're like, hey guys, I'm going to tell you a problem, and honestly, I don't need to know a solution. I just need to tell you guys because I'm upset. Or I just, you know, none of you experienced anxiety the same way as me, so I don't expect any of you to have advice, but I just want to tell you what's going on. Like, kind of be vocal and stand up for yourself, quote unquote, in that way, because I think in the end, it'll help you and your friends just have like a healthier relationship.
Yeah. I even think like what we're doing right now, like we've done it before, and it was when we were prepping for the live show. Like I just remember like we had such a good breakout session of just like how we're like updating each other like on our feelings, like just bouncing all these ideas and advice off each other that I still think about till this day. And I think even right now I feel like it's just nice to have these catch-ups. But like if you do have like close group of friends, or even just talking out loud, like when you get those words out of your mouth, then you can fully just like understand your thoughts. Like I feel like sometimes like this is another tip, just talk out loud and like say what your anxieties are, like go down your list, like what's going on with my money, what's going on with my family, what's going on with my friends. If there's nothing in that, you kind of it's just probably like an overall, I'm not a doctor, but like it's just like an overall thing. Just pinpoint it like that maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, I think something that everyone tells me to do, and I need to get better at doing it, because once I do, I truly think I'll make such strides, but like try to develop a routine for yourself and try to get busy. Because for me, like I am very lucky that I can set my own work schedule, but at the same time, like I have so many open hours in the day that I spend just living in my head, and it is not good. So if you have an opportunity where you can, you know, take on something, or you just put any kind of routine in your day to keep yourself busy, I do think that it leaves less time for like living in your head and ruminating and spiraling about scenarios that probably aren't ever going to happen, but they feel so real inside your head.
Yeah. And I just made a TikTok about this tip, but I do think practicing gratitude is a great tip. And I have the 5-minute gratitude journal. It's like $24 on Amazon. You write 3 things you're thankful for every day. And when I first started, I tried to make them really big things. Gotta be like, I'm thankful for everyone's health. I'm thankful for my mom. I'm thankful for this. And I've been doing this now for 3 or 4 years. So sometimes I'll literally write like the most like quote unquote superficial thing. Like, I'm thankful I get to wear sweats to work today. I'm thankful I had a delicious dinner last night. I'm thankful a new episode of my favorite show came out. Like finding those little tiny things that could seem superficial, or like, oh, you're not supposed to be grateful for that. It's a TV show. It's like, hey, that makes me happy. That makes me feel grateful. And now that I've done this for a long time, I'm able to now, when I'm having a panic attack, stop and think something that I'm grateful for. And I talked about this in the TikTok, but like sometimes if I'm having a panic attack and I start crying, I will literally be like, I'm thankful that I don't have anywhere to go tonight, so I can cry and not mess up my makeup. And it might not stop my anxiety. It might not make me feel better, but it derails me for just enough seconds to like breathe, recenter, ground myself a little bit, and then I can go on to the next task. So like in the middle of freaking out, if you're like, oh my God, I don't know, you know, what I'm going to do about work or boyfriend or this or that, like find anything in your moment to be thankful for, and just use that 1 second to like buy yourself some time to take a deep breath.
I kind of like, I love that. And I go off of it a little bit because if you think about like grateful and like also just feel about like being fortunate, like you should be fortunate and grateful enough that you do have a TV to watch your favorite show. Like just little things like that. Like be grateful that you could like got up this morning and stood on your own 2 feet. Like it comes down to such little things that it is so small, but it is so massive.
And then piggybacking on that, honestly, what you said earlier, Bailey, too, about the Emergency Intercom podcast, if you find something that brings you even like a second of gratitude or peace, like my dad always says to live in that peace, because when you put yourself in that space, it can, like Casey said, it doesn't always cure your anxiety or take it away for the entire night. But genuinely, in some of my worst panics that I've had, we can say last week, I have thought about things where I've been grateful for something or said something that made me feel good or watched something that I liked. And I decided that instead of living in my anxiety or my depression or whatever feeling I felt, I was going to choose to live in that peace. And I was going to take, whether it's as tiny as your sweatpants or as big as like, I got a job today. Like I was going to take that and like, that was going to be what I was going to go off of. And it is so helpful to just have that second or hour or day of like deep breath.
Yeah.
Your anxiety might come back, but it's okay because you can live in your peace again.
Exactly. Wow. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we should also do something maybe on our Instagram where people tell us some tips they have too, because I'd be curious to learn more tips.
Also resources too. Like I'm always looking for more resources, especially if you are in the Philadelphia area. Like if there is a group or if there is a doctor or anybody that like has changed your life in terms of the mental health space, do not be scared to share it via DM if you want to keep it private or literally on comments, whatever you want. We could all, I feel like, use like some shared resources as well. And then I guess with like FYP and just some things that I like to do too, follow, like there is a lot of really great creators that do talk about mental health. One of my favorites is Mary Skinner. She has a podcast called Prologues and she talks a lot about her journey with mental health, and it has been like some of the most comforting things to listen to. There's a podcast I listen to called Disordered, and it's all about different kinds of anxiety. Like if you have anxiety about sleeping, if you have heat anxiety, dating anxiety, they have episodes for everything.
What's
and it
heat
can just
anxiety?
like heat anxiety, like you're scared to go somewhere because it might be really hot and it's hard to breathe. Like I deal with that all the time.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. So like a lot of times when I have a panic attack, it's because I feel like I can't breathe. And that was why this summer was so hard for me, because like there was so many times where I was like so hot. So that's like a thing. So yeah, there's outlets out there that can help you feel less alone.
And like I feel like it's on TikTok, like that burn the candle theory or like burn the candle saying, where it's like don't save, you go to Home Goods or wherever and you get these really expensive candles and you're like, oh well, I'm only gonna light it on a nice night, or like I'm only gonna wear this outfit on the certain, and it's like burn the candle on a random Tuesday because it'll make you feel better. Where I'm very guilty of like not wanting to wear an outfit until I have a night out. Like wear it to go to the grocery store if that's going to make you feel better today. If you're someone like me who enjoys putting on makeup even though you're staying in the house all day, put on makeup, because it like do something like that that's like, don't be afraid to burn the candle. Don't be afraid to like do something that you think is only meant for a nice day. If you need it, just do it.
Yeah. So crazy. You were just talking about candles yesterday, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Like you don't burn your candles.
I literally did that. Burn the candle is very literal to me. Like I am weird about that. And Bailey, her house was so comforting yesterday. And I walked in, I saw a candle that she bought after me. It's the same candle. And she bought it after me. And I said, damn, where'd your candle go? She goes, I light it every day. And I was like, man, I'm sitting here wasting my candle, just not using that.
She was like, you went through that, but it's a candle.
I'm going to do it anyway because
Yeah.
candles do bring me peace. And I only light them when I have a clean home or when I need like a little bit of zen or when it's raining.
I'm lighting my candle tonight.
Me too.
Yeah, let's all do it and then send a picture.
Our houses are on fire in the background. Well, this was good.
Yeah, honestly, this was really healing for me. I feel like it's great to talk about it. So girlies at home, don't keep this one between us. Share with your friends. Everyone is going through something, and if we can all like extend an arm to each other, I think it makes it so much easier for us to all get through it together.
Absolutely agree.
Like we said, if you have resources, if you have tips, we'll post a story box. Please share them with us because I know I could use them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love you guys.
I love you.
Love you girlies and love all of our listeners. We love having a little community and it makes it easy to like share this. It's like not easy to talk into a mic about your like worst part of yourself, but it's nice to know that like everyone listening is a girly and we have you guys. So
Period.
I'm gonna cry. Oh wow.
bye guys.
Bye.